Hello, how are you?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. So we are here in our how would you say it?
Episode 6 of the story of our band we called Rodrigo y Gabriela at some point.
So where were we?
We left Paris to go to Dublin, and that was after we kind of explained on the last episode our emotional baggage or experience we had when we landed in Paris in Europe for the first time, and all our goals, which basically was one, to stay in Europe for a while. We didn't want to go back to Mexico. Nobody knew. It was like a plan we had and didn't share with anyone. So basically our plan was to land in Dublin, and we took a flight after 2 days in Paris, and we supposed to land in Dublin and take a taxi and go to a friend of a friend.
Well, let's start the story.
Yeah, exactly.
So we took an early flight, a small little plane. It was very cold in Paris, and also Paris can be very cloudy and damp and wet and cold, and it was like that, and it felt more cold, I guess, because we were so nervous. We didn't know what was going to happen, and so we got into this tiny plane with propellers, which felt like almost like in the 1930s. And so we flew to a short flight from Paris to Dublin. So we arrived 4th of April of 1999 at Dublin City Airport. So I was very nervous to go through for border passport control for some reason. I was just like freaking out. And then the guard said, like, he took our passport, said, students or what? And when we said it, I can't even remember, right?
Well, I remember the last words. Probably you remember the last words,
I said,
right?
how much money do you have? Like, he said, how much money do you have?
We had like no money. We had only credit cards, right?
We had one credit card.
And we didn't really want to know what to answer, but I guess he trusted, and we didn't have any English.
But I remember we showed him this card that, for some reason, we applied to this American Express card in Mexico just for the laugh.
No, it was because I had the job at the TV station.
The TV station, so, but it was almost like it was this lucky thing that we got.
Yeah, it was a good. Well, it was an American Express, but it was a good card. So in terms of, well, we can talk about the card later because it plays a little bit.
That's a very important thing.
Yeah.
So he saw the card, said, "Oh, okay." So here we said, "Okay, get in, welcome," and something like "God bless you."
Yeah, so he
right?
said he actually blessed us, but he was very funny because we didn't realize that until. But he said, "Okay, get in." No more questions, and he looked at us and he gave us the passports back and said, like, God bless you guys.
Mm-hmm. No, guys, because Irish doesn't say God.
That was an American version of what really happened.
God bless you.
God bless you, guys.
So we just went out, and I'm not sure if we told the story before we went to Europe. We met our friend Mariela,
we told the story.
But we told the story of Marisela, which
we're supposed to stay.
We're supposed to stay in a house which Marisela was kind enough to offer us for 15 days. She was not going to be there, and she said, "Oh, you can even take my bicycles. I have 2 bicycles, so you don't spend money on transport." So we took this direction, this address, and we took a taxi, and this taxi man was like, "Okay, I'll take you there." So he took us to this place.
It was Sunday.
It was Sunday.
It was raining.
It was about 2:00 p.m. and it was raining. It was cold. And he took us to the suburb in Dublin to this house. And then when we arrived, there was this note in the door, and you can see the note. You can't see the letters, but you can see perfectly that there's a note on the door. And even the taxi was like, oh.
Yeah.
He said, oh. And we're like, oh, okay, let's see what happens. And as we approached the door, it was like in Spanish. He said like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't stay here. I'm so sorry. I talked to the guys, which
My roomies.
and they say no because they don't know you. And it was just like that, And we were like, okay, well, I guess this is this is the
the start of
the
the
beginning,
journey.
yeah. And the taxi man was so worried about us, He was like, oh, what are you going to do? And And I said, oh well, we were so jet lagged,
Scared, nervous, I guess.
But I wanted to see the city center. Because for me it was like, that would be like Europe looked like,
exactly.
right?
That's
so
why
I was like,
there.
oh, whatever, take us to the center. And he was, yes, in the center there are hostels for students, and it's very cheap. And we were like, okay, we come from Mexico City, middle class, and we're supposed to be all about hostels. But for some reason, this is a confession, me and Rod not very keen to go to a hostel. So we were like, oh, don't take us to a hostel.
Although he tried.
But he tried because he himself was asking each one of those hostels if they had vacants for us, and they were just full. This is April, and all Ireland is thriving, blooming. All the students from all over the world are in Dublin. And so all the hostels, every single room was taken. And me and Rob were like, oh, thanks God, because we didn't want to stay like in a hostel with. We had to share the restrooms and the showers and all of that, and we're such a not very
anyway,
hostel friendly. So, and we'd say, well, what are we going to do? In my head, it was like, well, we have that card, the American Express, and then we'll see how are we gonna pay that. It doesn't really matter. The important point is that we have it, and we can go into a hotel and bed. And then the taxi was, oh, hotel is gonna be super expensive. That's not. And we were like, yes, no worries. For me, in my head was like, I need to sleep, and I don't care if tomorrow I have to sleep in the street. But now, let's just think about now. Immediate resolution. And he took us to a nice hotel, like in opposite the train station.
Just a hotel, yeah. But important to say that we had only £1,000 in cash and the card.
Mm-hmm.
So £1,000 is not a lot of money.
No.
So the hotel, we paid £300, Irish pounds, per night.
You remember?
Yes,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
So £300 a night.
No, sorry.
It's not cheap at all.
No, because we spent 3 nights there.
No, I think it was like £100.
100 and something, 100 whatever. Because I remember we were running out of money after 3 days. We said like, fuck, we are like really running out of money.
So we put the card, we checked in, and then I think we slept for 2 days.
No, not that long. Because in fact, I remember an incident. So we checked in, it was like 6 p.m. In Dublin, back in the day, and I don't know now, but the shops close at 6. And Sundays is particularly dead.
It used to be.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know now. But it used to be, and especially Sundays was totally dead. Only thing, like everything closed except pubs. And back in the day, the pubs were before the money started to roll in Ireland and opened these fancy pubs with terraces and all that. Everything was in. You couldn't see anyone. And for us, Dublin looked like not really like Central Europe. I mean, it didn't really look like Paris or anything like that, right? So we were just trying to say like, I mean, where is Europe? You know, I mean, to me, it was
No,
like,
for me, city center looked like European, completely European.
well, yes, but you know,
Not the
it says
suburbs,
exactly,
but
but it was like a small version of what we had seen. Well, nothing to do with what we had seen in Ireland, in France, in Paris, but not to compare. But it was very strange. I mean, to me, it looked like different. I mean, I didn't feel like I was like in Europe. It was strange because we were a
that's
little bit
what
outside the
I
continent.
really felt like we were in Europe,
Yeah.
especially because our hotel was opposite a train station, and everybody at the train station with a coats and it looked like
I mean,
that
it
scene
was,
from
of
the
course.
1940s. Of course, this was in my head too because it was the first time. It was this cultural shock that everyone looked so different, like physically, from all of the people we knew at that point in our lives.
But you know
Which
what?
in Mexico and all foreigner peoples here in Cihuatanejo. But you know,
No, it's different.
it was
And we
completely
didn't. Well, that
different.
was our first Irish people we've seen. You know, the officer at the. But no, but what I'm saying is like, in terms of what I had in mind, you know, regarding the cities that you see mostly in films and all that, and Paris, London, whatever,
Oh, yeah.
Madrid, it was different. It was like, okay, of course it's Europe, but this is a small island outside the continent, and it's cold. It was way colder than Paris, and we walked at nighttime because we were hungry. So we slept for a couple hours. We went out, and then we were in the north side of the city, which is a little bit more.
Rough.
Back in the day was rough. I don't know now, but it was the rough part. We were walking, everything closed, and then we saw this fight, or like a bouncer fighting with a drunk guy outside a pub.
Which was very
Which
normal.
is very
but-
normal. And Ireland is like super. I mean, we became so used to it, but that was our first impression. We was like, oh, this is very dangerous. Never seen that in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? And then we went just like, well, no, walk that way. And so we ended up eating some chips, right? And then we went back to the hotel. So like, well, I was like, I mean, is Ireland gonna make any sense at all? And why don't
Oh,
we just
really?
fly
I think-
back to Paris? Or, I mean, this looks so crazy, you know? But anyway, so continue. Next
But I
day,
didn't. That's what's funny because I can't remember that. Sort of not that you're saying someone was like a beating someone, like a drunk person in Temple Bar or
yeah,
something.
no, it was in the north side.
Okay, so so and then what happened was like we were trying to get to get we were culturally shocked and like what are we doing here, you know, and it's so cold and all of those things, and we got a telephone number for this another Mariela's our friend in Mexico. She gave us a number of one of her cousins gave her the number of a guy called Ivan from Mexico that was living in Ireland. But we got the number, but we were not interested in making Mexican friends in Dublin, you know. So we took the number because she insisted. She said you should take it just in case, la la. So at some point, because we didn't know exactly what were we doing on those 3 or 2 days,
Yeah.
but the hotel bill was running.
The bill, we didn't know what to do. The English was
Terrible.
very, very basic.
So
And to understand, I mean, we had a little understanding of how Americans talked because it was much more familiar to us, but Irish, we didn't understand a word. It's like,
yeah, actually, matter of fact, a lot of American friends over there they didn't understand the Irish. Even some Irish didn't understand the Irish, so that's a fact too. So we didn't get a word, and then out of desperation, we rang this guy Ivan. So we rang him in the street with a telephone in the street. Imagine, it sounds like from the 1950s.
Yeah, exactly.
So we rang him. And they said, oh, hello, this girl gave us your number and we're Mexicans and we just arrived. And they said, okay, I'm at work at the moment, so we can meet when I'm finished working tonight. We can meet in this pub called The Bridge. in O'Connell Street, and we said, okay, we'll find the bridge. O'Connell Street. So we just went there, and it looked this door, and it says the bridge, and it was this door, and with this
went to the basement.
With the basement, but we didn't get in at first. We were like, okay, what are we? Should we wait here? And then we saw people getting in and out, and you couldn't. Well, at the end, we got in. Yeah. And it was really warm, and it was cozy, and it was this band playing. It was this girl playing the bass and singing. Mm-hmm. It was a full rock band playing inside. They were doing a Cranberries cover and a lot of covers, and they sounded really good. So it was like, okay, this is familiar.
Yes,
this is familiar. So we got in, and then we got some pounds, and we ordered 1 pint of Guinness. Right? 1 pint of Guinness.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I do, because I really liked it. That's like, like for £1 or something, they gave you like this huge thing. Yeah. And it felt so good, and it really felt so warm inside with the Guinness and this band, and we were waiting for Ivan. And then
that's where our alcohol problem started.
Yes. Well, my one started a little before, but that's where it became really fun. that's where it was just like,
so
everything makes
suddenly sense. This guy just appears. Hey, you're Rodrigo y Gabriela? Yes, of course. So Ivan with a friend, Bernardo. Mm-hmm. So we talked to them, and we explained the situation, that we were going to stay in a place, and we didn't have where to stay, and we didn't know what to do. And he said, like, okay, listen, I've been here for 4 years, so you should do this, you should get a phone, whatever. But suddenly he left with Bernardo. They left.
No, I think what happened was, even he lived in Italy. He was experienced. Yeah. He had experience living in Europe in general, and he got a good job in Dublin, and Bernardo too. I think Bernardo's dad was Irish. So they both were established, and they shared a house in the north side of Dublin. So they told us, especially Ivan, because he was the one who arrived in Europe 5 years ago. He explained how did he survive, like how he made it, and how he was able to just established in Europe. So he said, okay, first of all, you need to get a cell phone. This is the new thing. Everybody has one here.
1999.
Everybody has one here. You need to get one, and that's very important. So you need to start finding an apartment. Where are you staying? And we said, we're staying in this hotel. I said, like, what? Are you staying in a hotel? That's crazy. And I said, yes. So you're spending all your money there. That's not. And we already, on those days, every day it was like 3 days in that hotel. We were walking the city, finding these, like, we help you find you these apartments. So we went to these services that they just rip off our money. So we lost a lot of money trying to get an apartment out of somebody. So it was just like he was like, no, this is not the way you should do it. You need to you buy this newspaper, and this is the areas of the students. So these areas are the good ones for you. You go and you check them and ring them and go there with the money, and you take the flat, because otherwise you're not going to be able to. So he was very like this. And then he said, but I don't think you should stay there anymore. He was very worried and concerned. And then he said, I think you guys can stay tonight, but I need to talk to Bernardo and see if you guys can stay with us at least a few days. In the meantime, you get your apartment or your flat or whatever it is. And if you need to share with someone else, you should do it. Don't be Mexican middle class that doesn't want to share a flat or something. And then I think he got a word with Bernardo.
Yeah, they left, and they came back.
Talk about it, and they came back and said, come, let's go. Let's go to your hotel.
Grab the stuff.
I'm gonna make you a pasta.
Yeah.
And they came with us to the hotel, and we took all our stuff. We check out. and then we went for more beers on our way to their house.
I don't remember that part.
I do.
You see?
Because I remember it said off license, and I was like, off license sounds like license.
Okay,
like
we bought some beers.
Like
yeah.
like a driving license, but then it's off license is actual alcohol store. So we drove in one of those, and everything walking, and they were kind enough to let us sleep in the coach, and he made us a really nice pasta, and next day said, okay, no excuses, you get up early, and then you go out and you find your apartment, just do it, and that's what we try to do every day.
Yes,
right?
we stayed there, I think a week, 5 days. It didn't really take us long we were walking like crazy, doing exactly what he did. He told us, get in the cell phone, like a very old, massive brick.
Like a brick.
Yeah, but, and then you paid the cards, and then looking for apartments, went to see a few. And then we finally, after a few tries, we found a house to share with a couple. Fiona and John, far away from city center, but in a very beautiful, quiet suburb. But we had been in Ivan's house for 5 days. It was time to move.
Ivan's house and Bernardo, and there was
and
another friend, Jesus from Monterrey, and the three of them were
very
really nice to
yeah.
us. And we always be deeply thankful with them, because
we haven't seen them. Well, actually, we saw Ivan at some point, but anyway, that's another.
Yeah, so
part of the story.
they're lovely, lovely people, and we're so happy that they let us sleep there for a week, and also all the advice. All the advice was incredible, and in Spanish. And then this is the moment where we just moved out, and this is the moment with the card. The actual card comes.
The American Express.
So we needed to pay the rent in advance. We need to give it like 2 months deposits and plus something else. We're like, what she told us. Yes, we have everything. I was like, fuck, what are we going to do? And then we were just walking and nearby Trinity College, which is this Cosmos, and said, what about we just take the card and see what happens? And we kind of, we didn't have a number, or did we made up the number?
No, we did have a number, but basically,
you're not supposed to take money out of this card.
Well,
right? You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to.
It's not like you're not. I mean, you can, but the interest rate is super high.
Yes, but usually in Mexico they would never give you such an amount. Like 2 months deposits plus something else.
The card would give us 600 Irish pounds per day, and we had no limit on that card. That is the thing. That's we could have actually bought a Ferrari if we wanted. So we had no limit. That's the kind of Amex we had, like a platinum, or I don't know what was it.
It was then platinum. It was the most cheapest version.
No. You couldn't do that with a cheap. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, we found out that we could actually get money.
Okay, now we're like old people, because I remember that what I said was like, it's gonna be a strike of luck if we get something out of this card, because this is an Irish bank, and this is like, it's not like nowadays you can take your cards and all the banks now are colluded. At that time it wasn't like that. So it was for me like, okay, let's put this amount here, fingers crossed, and then voila, clean. It just gave us all this for the rent and for the 2 months in advance and all of that. So we went to Castle Knock, which was the neighborhood, and we took this to Fiona and said like, we're here, we're students
of
life, etc. We didn't want to say, we are musicians and we don't have a job. We didn't want to say that. We said, we're students, and they didn't.
We didn't say that we're gonna busk, because we didn't actually intend to do that.
But at that time, we didn't know we were going to play the street, because it wasn't.
So we thought it was going to be easy to find a place, a restaurant, a pub, or a hotel, but that's totally a different kind of scene for a musician to work like that. The way we kind of knew it in Mexico, in Ixtapa, not the same way at all. but we didn't know that. But we're confident that we're gonna find a job. And then we went to the American Express office to see exactly how did that work. We said, okay, when do we have to pay this? And they said, okay, this card has no limit. So you can spend as much you want in a month, but you have a month to pay. So that was the trick.
And
so,
also
okay,
the balance against the Irish pounds and dollars, it make the debt really went like off the roof. So now we were like, shit, now we need to pay all
so we have a month to pay this, but it's okay. So we managed, okay, but that's a different episode.
But it was a huge part of this thing because this pushed us to, we were just like, we don't want to be in debt. We don't want to be in debt. We can be free, but not no, we don't want to be in jail because we didn't pay this. And it's gonna get, the more you don't pay, the more the interest go high. So first thing, we moved to Fiona and John, and it was this beautiful house. And then we said, okay, the only thing we had, because we had no TV. The house had a TV, but we were not on that mood of watching TV because we were like somehow in a survival mode. Like, what are we going to do? That was something. So we took the guitars and I started playing and said, okay, let's go and find a place to play. And that's where we started also to walk for kilometers a day, asking in restaurants everywhere if there was like, no, not really.
And then we found out that the pubs only, well, they took some rock bands, but mostly they were playing Irish music.
Especially on the tourist, like
on the
city
tourist
center,
area,
can be quite touristy. And even if you play in a pub that is more bohemian or more, I don't know, more hip, nobody's gonna pay you if you do it because you like to do
for Guinness.
Or for one pint or something. Exactly. And so for us it was like, no, we need to work as we did in Ixtapa and the weddings and all of those, whatever it is. And but
and a couple of restaurants gave us like the opportunity to do like
but I think they did just out of curiosity. So play something. So we played some, said, sorry, we're not
we had to buy a little PA system, even to do the restaurants auditions, but I think we should leave it here.
Okay.
Right? This is over 20 minutes now. So, is that right, Pablito? Right?
So, we'll be for the next time.
Next time. So, so we stay just before we realized that we couldn't play in restaurants or hotels. So then we had a master plan, but it just came to us. We didn't know, right? So that's it. Okay. Ciao, ciao. See you next episode.